Let me tell you, after 6 years and over 600 episodes, I have never, ever encountered such an issue like this that prompted staff members to write a letter to the school board. Never, in all of the 6 years, there were claims of violence and unsafe conditions at a middle school. Now, if you remember those unsafe conditions, we focused on one school that got the superintendent fired. That's right. One school district had so many problems, students began videotaping the incident, walking through all the process, and that led to one superintendent getting fired over her plan. Tonight, you will see that letter, and one attorney, former attorney, is speaking out to tell what's going to happen now. So what can be done about this? Here's Shauna Hunt.
Allegations of violence, intimidation, bullying, and unsafe conditions at this Mississauga Middle School are now being investigated by the Peel District School Board after an anonymous letter allegedly written by a group of teachers began circulating on social media.
The teacher reached out to me, and she sounded pretty desperate that she had run out of options.
Retired lawyer turned community education critic Michael Tepper says he received the letter directly from a teacher at Tompkin Road Middle School and was asked to help spread the word, telling me staff there feel like they've hit a wall and had no choice but to take their concerns to social media.
As explained in her letter, she had tried to go through the chain of command at the school, and she felt that they were just being ignored.
The anonymous letter outlines a long list of violent and unsafe behavior by a group of students. Some of the claims include students defecating on the bathroom floors and rubbing their feces on the walls, homophobic slurs and swear words being yelled in teachers' faces, students threatening each other with X-Acto knives and meter sticks, blasting music in hallways and playing basketball during class time, doors being busted down, the bathrooms being taken over, and the office vandalized. Staff at this school also claim that they have pleaded with the administration for help and guidance, and they've exhausted all the methods they were trained to use, saying there have been no consequences. The letter has been circulating online for about a week, and now the school board confirms it is investigating. In a statement, City News is being told the superintendent is also aware and is at the school today facilitating a series of scheduled meetings with staff throughout the week. It goes on to say, we can also confirm that for specific items alleged in the letter, student suspensions have taken place. But our follow-up questions regarding suspensions and the timing of the investigation have gone unanswered.
I'm glad to hear that the superintendent is there and that they have a physical presence. I think it's essential that senior staff actually step into schools to see what's going on. Senior administrators and ministry officials need to put their heads together to come up with appropriate ways to deal with these situations.
According to the letter, staff here would like to reinstate structure, standards, and expectations. They're calling for a cell phone ban and want to ensure that there will be consequences for misbehavior. In Mississauga, Shauna Hunt, City News.
Common sense alert. You see, if I had more hair right now, I'd be ripping it out of my head. These teachers wrote a letter to that attorney, and I'm glad the superintendent stepped up to the plate here. But all these allegations, taking over the bathrooms, defecating on the school floors, wiping feces on the wall, those are unsanitary conditions. And if that happened here in Flower Bluff, I would have known about it. But if I would have found out that no one's doing anything about it, I would seriously screw them up and tell them, hey, get your act together. Because this story has got common sense written all over it. 4 hours ago, I commented, where's the common sense? Common sense alert. One person 2 days ago, where are the parents? You can't have kids misbehaving this badly and the parents don't know about it. The parents do know about it, deny their kids behavior, they are part of the problem. I hope they all go to jail. Okay. One reason that it's because school staff is giving students too much freedom. Since there were no consequences other than a phone call home and talk to the principal, students continue to act this way because they knew they wouldn't get into any trouble. Thomas King needs to put in strict consequences and or rules to prevent this from happening. There will be fights every other week, objects flying through the air, and offensive things said to students and teachers. All the time, but teachers never really did anything to stop it. Now that it's become more really out of control. Everyone is starting to seek some sort of help, which should have started as soon as such acts would have started taking place. The staff never suspend anyone, even if they did something horrible or should move on. I think this problem could have been fixed earlier, but just by suspending certain individuals and having actual consequences for students' actions. Yes! Jail time! Yes! Genuine question, why is criminal activity at school matter of teachers / admin and not law enforcement? One answer to this, 2 words. That's racist. And lastly, this is how not to run a school, and a national bill of anti-semitism dangers working as a teacher. Give me a break. I'm done here. Coming up next, this restaurant says that the DoorDash customer ordered a lot of pizza, but what the restaurant found out was that it had an impersonated Dasher. We'll give you more. Stay with us. This next issue is for people who order food via DoorDash. I'm one of those customers. It's an issue about when you order something but you never receive it. In this next story you're about to see, a customer ordered some pizza, but the sad fact is, the customer never got it, and now the employee tells her side about what happened when a pizza delivery never got through. Here's Cordero McMurray.
The Dasher came in to get the order. We confirmed the order by looking at their phone. We had them tap the confirmation.
But after the Dasher left, the customer called Sam and Louie's Pizzeria after waiting 45 minutes, claiming they never received their $75 order. The customer then tried calling the Dasher back.
The number he was calling, they kept answering and then hanging up on him. So that started to seem very suspicious.
Chavez says she tried calling the number herself, and it was disconnected. She says because she's a new small business, the right thing to do was to have the customers order again and pick it up, losing a total of $150.
It was $75, so it was substantial. So I had to make that twice, and then ultimately I didn't get paid for either order.
Chavez says in the 5.5 months the business has been open, she's had 6 similar incidents. She tells us she contacted DoorDash but didn't hear back. I also reached out to DoorDash Wednesday. They responded saying in part, impersonating a Dasher or any delivery worker is totally unacceptable, and we hope these bad actors are held accountable. Chavez says DoorDash can track who the Dashers are. She says that the Dashers aren't fulfilling orders correctly.
I then banned them from the restaurant, so they don't get any more orders from this facility.
Chavez tells us she's thought about hiring drivers herself, but says paying for the insurance and going through the process was too expensive, and going through a third party such as DoorDash was more affordable. Reporting in Corpus Christi, I'm Cordero McMurray. Chris, 6 Sunrise.
And this story could use a big fat common sense alert for all the Dashers out there. If you are thinking about applying for DoorDash, you need to make sure that you do several things. 1, know the customer's order. 2, if the customer's ordered, then you gotta make sure that they get to it. You gotta give it to them fresh. This happened to me. I was getting Jack in the Box's new steakhouse burger. This happened on Tuesday going to Wednesday. I ordered it on Tuesday, and I see a Dasher named Joseph approaching, saying, okay, he's probably going to go to the restaurant. So I go to Stripes to get something to drink. Then I keep checking my phone, making sure, okay, he's probably still there. I don't know what's happened. So, an hour later, nothing happened. I was checking the box's money. So in the end, I canceled it around 12:30. Got a refund. Got a $20 refund over $5 credits. Next day it happened was the same dasher, and I didn't confront him. I didn't tell him, hey, why didn't you pick up the order first thing? You were the one that accepted the order. Why didn't you go get it? If I had confronted him on it, he would have gotten in my face going all blah blah blah. Then I would have, I don't know, had him. And if he would have assaulted me, I would have had him arrested. He would have hired his attorney and go, well, blah, blah, blah. Then I would have contacted DoorDash to let him know, hey, one of your dashers, so-and-so, this and this. If you're ordering DoorDash, if you're going to order from DoorDash, what you need to understand is these things take time. I don't recommend you use DoorDash anymore. I recommend you use Favor. It's cheap, effective, and very easy to use. It's a lot cheaper than It's a lot cheaper than DoorDash, Grubhub, and Waiter. Very cheap. $0 delivery fees in under 30 minutes. That's the restaurant I recommend. Okay. Take a look at this. There was a coyote being spotted in Flower Bluff. Just look at this. That's a coyote right there. And the destination it came from, it was unknown. World is coming up, and now let's take a look at those gas prices that are going high. Because if you're planning on traveling for Memorial Day, you better start gassing up your cars, and watch now for those gas prices, because those things can get mighty high, like the mighty ducks. Take a look.
In the roads this Memorial Day weekend, you should be paying less to get to your destination, according to analysts, due to low demand for fuel. The average price for a gallon of regular unleaded this morning across the nation is roughly $3.57 a gallon. That's down 22% from a year ago. So here at home, take a look at the screen. Gas dropped today after rising throughout the week. In Corpus Christi, the average for regular unleaded is $2.98. That's down 3 cents from yesterday. Diesel sitting pretty at $3.26, which is down 6 cents from yesterday. Across the state, the average cost of unleaded is $3.12, and that's down 1 cent from yesterday.
Which was pretty good. So if you're planning on traveling, remember those gas prices. They may be pretty good for you. If they're not, well, buy some gas and fill up the car yourself. Then you don't have to go to a gas station. It's a simple idea from common sense. Okay. Coming up next, these two, back in 1997, have now found out what had happened during that day back in August of 1997 when Princess Diana died in a car crash. Now, we know about what happened years ago, but Dennis Murphy has some details. Stay with us. Well, over 20 years ago, Princess Diana of London died in a car crash, and during that time, people suspected of a drunk driver, which he was part of it. People blamed the paparazzi and the tabloids. But there is evidence out there that could prove what happened. Tonight, two people who knew about the crash back in 1997 spoke out after looking at the crash and telling their side of the story, do they have the answer to the mystery that we're all hoping for about what happened to Diana? Remember, it was probably one of the tabloids, but security camera footage would show that one of the people who was part of that crash who drove was, quote, drunk as a pig. And in future references, we're going to play you that interview from one of the people who took photos of Princess Diana. He'll tell his side of the story. That's coming soon. Let's get to that car crash. Here's Dennis Murphy.
When you lose someone you love, you always want to know what were the last moments.
What were her last moments like? The princess. French doctor Frederick Maillet and his friend American Mark Butt can tell us, as they've already told French investigators, because they were there. They put them in the tunnel that night, seconds after the crash, and their account of what they saw may explode some of the myths that have circulated in the months since Diana's death.
Were there any emergency people or any authorities on the scene of the accident when you arrived, Doctor?
No, I was the first one.
The two friends had been driving home to Paris after dinner in the suburbs.
We came back in on the expressway that goes along the Seine toward the Place de la Concorde.
Past the Eiffel Tower, you're arriving in the most beautiful part of Paris.
Absolutely, we were admiring how beautiful everything was. The Eiffel Tower lit up, and then we see a tunnel of smoke in front of us.
A tunnel of smoke that they entered from the opposite direction that Diana had been traveling in. Just before they drove under, Mark noticed a car parked in those oncoming lanes at the tunnel exit. He didn't think much about it then. Both men were focusing on brake lights and slowing traffic. Trouble ahead.
We rolled with the traffic to the center of the tunnel, and we saw that there was an accident. A black Mercedes crashed against the wall. Definitely. And it was pretty obvious that the accident just happened because of the smoke, because of the horn was still going on.
The car horn was blaring.
Yeah. And almost nobody was around the car.
But where were the paparazzi we heard so much about in the early days? One witness had reported they were swarming the car like a cloud of mosquitoes, actually keeping helpers from reaching the injured.
There were no more than 3 or 5 persons around the car. But I don't remember any people, any person touching the victims or speaking to the victims or moving the victims. I don't remember that.
A series of never-seen photos taken by a passing tourist and obtained by Dateline document those first moments after the crash. Dr. Maillet, a specialist in emergency trauma, says neither he nor an off-duty fireman, who'd also stopped to help, had any problems getting to the vehicle or the victims inside.
I saw 4 people. 2 were apparently dead and 2 were severely injured. So I ran back to my car to phone this emergency services.
So let me see if I understand. So you have the wreckage, you've gone to your car, you have your emergency bag. Someone is already attending to the bodyguard in the front seat position.
Right.
So you do what then?
So I go to the lady, who is the Princess Diana, and I gave her the first help.
The wreckage we're familiar with from the news videos is not the condition of the Mercedes when Dr. Maillet saw it. As this animation shows, the car roof was still intact. The rescue crews with jaws of life cutters hadn't arrived yet. Most of the damage was to the front of the car. The back, where Diana was seated, was remarkably intact. The right rear door was open, Diana's door.
Her head was toward the front of the car. She was looking actually to the side of the car, to the left side of the car.
Did you know that it was Princess Diana?
No, I didn't recognize her.
This is arguably the most famous female face on the planet.
Yeah, sure, but my attention was focused on the accident, on the emergencies, so I didn't think about who she might be.
Maillet says a male voice behind him said, "She speaks English." Was that one of the paparazzis? Had they opened her door? The two men don't know, but the pack of photographers were just now arriving at the scene.
I stayed near the car, just a few meters away, and just watched the scene develop with more and more onlookers, more and more photographers. First 1 or 2 and 3, and this just within 2 or 3 minutes it had developed up to be about 10 or 12 photographers.
Diana was found curled with her legs beneath her in the well between the front and back seats, unbloodied, eyes open. From what they could see, no obvious external injuries.
And I saw Frederique had put a resuscitation mask, an oxygen mask, on her face and was treating her from behind, so I really couldn't tell you whether she was moving or not.
She was in and out of consciousness?
Yeah, that's how you can say that.
You had some idea that you were able to communicate, that there was understanding.
At least I tried to communicate with her.
Did she acknowledge that? Did she understand that help was coming?
I can't really answer that.
Dr. Maillet is forbidden by the French medical code from saying much about his patient. And for 10 minutes before the ambulances arrived, Diana was his patient. Mark Butt has no such obligation.
I believe that she made some movements and that she said some things verbally, but I think that the things that she said were unintelligible and that her movements were involuntary.
And even the code of ethics couldn't keep the doctor from scotching this rumor that Diana had in fact spoken to her rescuers.
Let me tell you something. Try to imagine when you break your leg, do you really think that you will give a testimony or something for the future generation or something like that? You're in pain.
There are published reports in a world of a lot of rumor that Princess Diana was saying words like, "Go away, don't bother me." Are those published accounts accurate at all? Did you hear words
I
like that?
didn't hear that, and it's not a doctor who said that.
For those 10 long minutes, Maillet was the only doctor there. Diana's was not the only life at risk.
Were you helping both victims at that time?
I can't have just both two hands. So the volunteer fireman did a great job. He helped the bodyguard, and I just checked what he was doing.
To this day, Maillet does not know who that volunteer fireman was, or if that man has spoken to investigators. But it was Maillet who probably saved the bodyguard's life by calling 2 ambulances to the scene, 1 for each victim. Once they arrived, Dr. Maillet turned the treatment of the injured blonde woman over to the ambulance doctor. It would not be until sometime after the 2 men left that anyone would realize the extent of her massive internal injuries.
She didn't have outward physical signs of injury. So I think we both thought she would make it. We did have some conversation, like, I think she will be all right with the other guy in the front. We didn't really think that the bodyguard would make it.
Of course, at that point, they still didn't know who exactly was in the car. They would learn the truth, along with the rest of the world, the next morning.
When was it that you found out that your patient in this accident had actually been Princess Diana?
The next morning, I had my breakfast, watching the news, and I recognized the car and the accident. It was the first thing I heard when I turned on the TV. And it was shocking. It was bad enough. It was shocking to see a major accident like that, see people dead in a car, but to find out that someone that you know, or at least someone that's a celebrity, someone that's respected the world over, and that makes it a lot even worse.
Worse because it all seems so senseless. Her driver, French authorities say, was well over the legal limit for alcohol. But his impaired state may not be the only cause of the crash. Investigators believe more and more that a second car was involved, likely a dark-colored Fiat Uno. Investigators think that perhaps that small car was brushed by the Mercedes as it merged into the high-speed lanes going into the tunnel. Paint scrapes on the wreckage, bits of a broken taillight, and the skid marks all seem to describe a minor collision with the driver swerving to avoid an accident. It might explain why the driver lost control, slamming into the concrete pillar in the center and careening down the tunnel. And that takes us back to the parked car that Mark Butt noticed in passing at the exit to the tunnel.
I just remember as we approached the tunnel, as we were entering the tunnel, I saw that there was already a car that had just come out of the tunnel, apparently, that was pulled to the right, pulled to their right at the exit of the tunnel.
Second car theory has the police looking for a dark-colored Fiat Uno with maybe a broken taillight. Does that possibly register with the car that you saw parked at the exit of the tunnel?
It was the size of what would be a Fiat Uno, but I couldn't tell you whether the taillight was broken or whether that car was involved in the accident or whether it was just someone that had pulled to the side that saw the accident in the rearview mirror.
Did you see motorcycles parked?
At the same area where that car was parked, there was a motorcycle parked also. I did see two people standing near the car and the motorcycle that were looking back in toward the tunnel.
Who were those two people standing by a car and a motorcycle parked in the roadway outside the tunnel? And why haven't they come forward? It didn't seem important at the time, and may not be important now. But it is just one more reason why everyone wants to know what these two men experienced, and what they'll never forget.
The only comfort I could give her was my words and my voice.
And do you think that help for the patient got through in this case? Do you think Diana understood that there was someone, you, trying to help her?
That's my hope.
Bodyguard Trevor Reese-Jones, the one the doctor and his friend thought would die, was finally released from a Paris hospital on Friday and taken home to England. Police investigators questioned him one last time before he left, but say he still has no memory of the crash.
So now we remember what happened. The cause of the accident was the drunk driver. And now we know what happened. I'm pretty proud of them coming forward telling their sides of the story. I do believe, I mean, I wasn't born at the time. I was still a baby. But I know about what happened. Coming soon, one of the photographers, actually, man, we're not going to have time to play that because we got a whole other show to do. But we'll have that interview for you soon. We'll have the paparazzi interview for you soon. Because the paparazzis were part to blame in this. And then we'll also hear from celebrity stalkers. That's soon. It's coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. Okay. Up next. Coming up next here. He was investigated by the FBI, betrayed by his friends, and even marked for death. Chris Hansen has the story of a gambling man gone wrong. Stay with us. He was investigated by the FBI, betrayed by his friends, even marked for death. And not only has he lived to tell about it, but Robert De Niro is bringing his life story on the big screen in a hit movie, Casino. Tonight, you'll meet someone who lived Robert De Niro's life before the movie. Here's Chris Hansen. By the way, I'm muting this part of it because there is copyright.
Las Vegas, Nevada, 1968. It was the city of dreams. With a buck in your pocket and luck on your side, you had a chance at a cool million. It was a jewel in the desert for gamblers, hustlers, high rollers, showgirls, and the mob. It was their paradise, and that's how it seemed to Frank Lefty Rosenthal when he rolled into town.
I got there, went to my hotel room, and it wasn't just a matter of, I think, an hour or two. And knocking on the door, Metro Police showing their arrest.
You haven't even placed your first bet yet.
I haven't done anything. I haven't even unpacked.
He was a man with a past, a gambler with the Midas touch, with at least a dozen prior arrests for gambling, but only one conviction, for attempting to bribe a basketball player.
Chicago, big-time gambler, been breaking the law all his life. I acknowledge, I admit, I broke the law on a daily basis. So what?
But Las Vegas meant legalized gambling, and the promise of redemption.
Las Vegas was your second chance. And so it's kind of a morality car wash. It sort of cleansed your history, it cleansed your soul.
Nicholas Pileggi has written a book about Las Vegas and Lefty Rosenthal, and a new movie, Casino, adapted from his life. It stars Joe Pesci and Sharon Stone, with Robert De Niro playing a character based on Rosenthal. In Las Vegas, Rosenthal rode a lucky streak.
How much money do you figure you made over the years gambling?
Oh boy. Well, if you add and subtract, I'm not sure how much it is.
Millions?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever I reported on my 1040s or my 1090s, what do you call them?
1040.
Whatever I report, that's what I earn. Take my word for it.
But soon, he was to tempt fortune in the form of a blonde.
At Caesar's Palace one evening, she tapped me on the shoulder. And she said, "Hi, Lefty, remember me?" Naturally, she gained my attention. Blondes always do. And she was one hell of a blonde, let me tell you.
How are you?
Jerry McGee was a showgirl at the Tropicana. Sharon Stone plays a similar character in the movie. She was a chip hustler, rolling dice for rich gamblers. One night, Rosenthal went to watch her in action.
She was running up a hot hand. The stick man said to Jerry, "Come on, good looking. Keep rolling." And remember, she said, "Shut up."
What do you mean, what's the matter? I made a lot of money for you. I want my cut.
She made the gambler $60,000 richer. But when she asked for her cut, he balked.
And I looked at her and I'm saying to myself, what a screwball. Whatever I was looking for, Jerry seemed to have. I guess it'd be fair to say I was in love with Jerry, whatever love might be. I knew Jerry was not.
In a lifetime of safe bets, he was taking a dangerous gamble. They married in 1969. 500 guests attended the wedding. Caesar's Palace comped the whole affair. It was for Jerry that Rosenthal went to work on the other side of the tables, at the Stardust Casino.
Vegas,
One night when he caught a crossroader, a professional cheat, justice was swift.
And you ordered somebody to smash his hand.
I have no recollection or memory of that happening.
Come on.
No, I really don't. Number one, it's against the law. And number two, that's not my nature. And number three, if it happened, I wouldn't tell you anyway.
At the Stardust, Rosenthal rose quickly through the ranks.
You lived pretty well in Las Vegas.
I had what's called power of the pencil. Whatever I wanted, it was there.
But the one thing Frank Rosenthal really wanted, he couldn't buy: a gaming license. He needed one to legitimately run a casino. But his request was denied by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. Why? They cited two reasons: his past gambling convictions and his alleged connection to the mob.
Let's not mistake who and what Frank Rosenthal was. He was a gangster.
Stanley Hunterton was a federal prosecutor investigating the mob's control of the Las Vegas casinos. For years, they were dipping their hands in the till and siphoning off untaxed profits in cash. It was known as the skim. Hunterton says Frank Rosenthal ran the skim for the mob. He claims that $2 million disappeared every year during Rosenthal's tenure at the Stardust.
He showed them how to set up a skim, and he supervised it.
There were allegations of skimming at the Stardust.
There was no skimming that took place. If it did, it took place unbeknown to me. I have two eyes, I don't have four.
Were you tied in with the Chicago mob?
Absolutely not.
But you knew all those guys up in Chicago.
I know everybody, and I've never asked anybody in my entire life what they do for a living. I learned that years ago. If they wanted you to know, they'd tell you.
He was under investigation, and worse, his marriage was falling apart.
When did you realize that your marriage to Jerry was crumbling?
Very, very soon in marriage. It was very obvious that Jerry had a problem.
Jerry was sliding into a haze of drugs and alcohol. There were allegations of violence in the marriage. She turned to her husband's childhood friend for support, Anthony Spilatro, Tony the Ant.
Good friend. Many, many years.
He was a hitter, a shooter, killer for the mob.
A man so vicious, he kept shallow graves ready dug in the Nevada desert. He may have murdered as many as 36 people. The FBI believed that if Rosenthal was a frontman for the mob, Spilatro was the muscle.
The feds were saying at that time that Tony Spilatro was the emissary from the Chicago mob to go down there and work with Frank Rosenthal.
Tony never had any say-so for Frank Rosenthal in his entire life.
Rosenthal's association with Spilatro destroyed his chances of ever getting a gaming license. To bolster his reputation, he created a TV show,
Mr. Frank Rosenthal!
broadcast live from the Stardust. But his new job as Lefty the talk show host made the mob nervous. And just as his notoriety grew, his marriage was ending.
Jerry, Tony, and I, the whole triangle, that's a matter of record.
A matter of record because the FBI was on Tony's tail, and they recorded the love affair.
He betrayed you in as about a bad way as I could think of a friend betraying a friend.
I couldn't quarrel with your assessment.
The whole drama was attracting attention. All the while, the FBI was watching and listening. They targeted the Midwest Syndicate. Hundreds of documents and 4,000 hours of surveillance tapes later, they had enough to bust up the skimming operation at the Stardust and other casinos. The whole house of cards came tumbling down. 6 mob bosses were indicted, but Rosenthal was never charged.
Why didn't they indict me and put me in jail where I belong if, in fact, I did what they said I did?
Well, he's a very smart gangster. There was simply never sufficient evidence, in my view, to prosecute Rosenthal for any of the skimming offenses or any of the related crimes.
But another kind of justice would be dealt to the newly divorced Frank Rosenthal. It was after lunch. He got into his car.
Maybe someone up there was looking down at me and said, let's give this guy a pass.
Spilatro was suspected of planting the car bomb.
You make a lot of enemies. Certainly, Tony and I, at the end of the relationship, were on unfriendly terms.
Only 2 months later, Jerry was dead, the victim of an apparent overdose. Then in 1986, the bodies of Anthony Spilatro and his brother were found beaten beyond recognition in an Indiana cornfield. No one was ever charged with the murders. It was the end of the mob's reign in Las Vegas. Rosenthal was listed in Nevada's infamous Black Book. He can never enter a casino there again. He now lives in Boca Raton, Florida, where he manages a popular night spot.
In the course of your life, somebody tried to kill you by blowing up your car. Your wife is dead. Your best friend is dead. You are alive. Maybe they should call you lucky and not lefty.
Maybe you're right. It's the luck of the draw.
Rosenthal tells us he still places an occasional bet, but rarely for more than $100 at a time because he has lost the touch. And if you think you've got a shot at winning big at casino gambling, in Rosenthal's words, your chances are slim and none, and Slim's out of town.
Slim's out of town. Common sense needs to start telling you that gambling is illegal. In most states, Texas is now planning on legalizing gambling in those gaming operations. Probably so. But that would tie in with the mob during Prohibition. Up next, would you like a neat noise-free America? John Stoss is going to explain to you. Stay with us. Do you hear them out there when you're walking, when you're eating your dinner? Then all of a sudden you hear... That's my best one ever. But you probably hear them. Like all the loud music. At the police. At the police. Something like that. If you know what I'm talking about, it's summer, the kids are cruising, and the cool cars are blasting music so loud it makes you wanna compete with the motorcycle noise. Vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom. But in all seriousness, however, would you like a noise-free America to where your ears would still work? Here's John Stossel.
The entire car is a work of art. That's what the people who build these cars say. Our cars are works of art. Now, people have always customized cars, but lately more people do more. More gadgets, more unusual hydraulics, more bizarre paint jobs. And what's this? A fish tank in the trunk. People go to these specialty equipment car shows to gawk at the cars. And today, a car can't just look special. It has to sound special.
We got the craziest car in this show. We just want to make this thing as loud as possible, crystal clear. So we got bass, we got mids, we got highs.
They install huge amounts of audio equipment. Ordinary car stereos generate as much as 600 watts, and I think that's plenty. But at these car shows, they want at least 10 times that. They want enough to make quarters bounce and windows shake. They compete to see who's loudest.
I'm pushing 12,000 watts for my bass. That's 3 amplifiers with 6 12-inch subwoofers.
You can see his speakers vibrate. He sits in front of these. That much sound can destroy your hearing. Years ago, Billy Vickers blew out an eardrum at a boom car contest.
I got a 7-foot 2-inch trophy for it too.
Today, most wear ear protection when they really crank up the volume. That's a good thing, since some of these systems generate 170 decibels, equal to a jet plane taking off 25 feet away.
It just sends a rush through my body. It is so nice, relaxing feeling, and I only get it from this car.
For those who drive wrecks like this, but dream of customized cars like this woman, there's the MTV show, Pimp My Ride. Every week, they select a wreck for an extreme car makeover. They gut the car, then add the extras. 1 week later, she has her dream car. The back of it's filled with electronics. Now, if she wants to blast her music at a show, fine, but there's a nastier side to custom audio. Tonight, all around the country, young people are cruising in their cars, and a fair number of them think it's okay to impose their sound systems on everyone else. When the boom car craze began years ago, I spent a night with the kids to try to understand the thrill. The guys said the loud music attracts the girls.
The girls like the cars, the girls like the stereos.
And you could cruise down the street and girls would respond well?
Sure. You don't have to beat your horn. Nothing.
Great for him, but what about all the other people who think these cars are a menace?
They don't realize the effect of noise on other people.
Ted Reuter of Noise Free America lobbies against noise pollution.
Boom car boys coming to rumble through your neighborhood and to cause terrorism.
Terror is harsh.
No, it's not. It causes sleep loss, it causes problems with your heart, and it causes people to be afraid.
Reuter's upset about boom cars and the other big sources of unnecessary noise, like car alarms. Quiet anti-theft devices like ignition kill switches are cheaper and work better. Leaf blowers, they're all over the suburbs. But did you know that they don't have to make this noise? The electronic ones are quiet. And motorcycles.
People think that motorcycles are naturally noisy because most motorcycles thunder down streets.
In fact, the noisy bikes are so loud only because some bikers take off the mufflers, just so they can make the extra noise.
That is illegal, and the state police are doing nothing about it.
There are noise pollution laws most places. The cops rarely enforce them.
Very rarely. Oftentimes cops are part of the problem. Oftentimes cops are boomers themselves. Cops tend to love noise.
Last month, Florida passed a law making it illegal to play music audible more than 25 feet or 2 car lengths away. Miami cops told us they'll arrest the driver or impound his car if he doesn't turn it down. I'll believe that when I see it. In Chicago, noise laws are strictly enforced.
In Chicago, they average 3,000 confiscations a year, and boom car business is down a third.
Elsewhere, the loud car business is booming. And you should know that legitimate businesses promote the noise.
People are making money off of noise.
Sony's website promotes its car audio with this line:
Achieve the sound your neighbors fear.
The advertisements from boom cars are encouraging these boys to go out and to cause trouble. They want to inflict fear and pain. They want to disturb the peace.
Sony told us this was tongue-in-cheek, and they may change the tone of that one sentence. But other companies have run ads saying, shake the living, wake the dead, annoy neighbors, be very afraid.
People have the right to enjoy their property, and increasingly people do not have that right in this country because of boom cars.
I told the kids some of us don't want to listen to their music.
There are people that don't want to listen. I mean, they don't have to listen. I mean, you know, it's like you're going up to them and saying, "I'm talking to you this loud." It is, but I mean, that's only if you're standing there listening to it. If you don't like it, you walk away.
Different music and someone yelling in your ear.
It's the difference. I mean, you know, you're yelling in my ear. I'm playing music.
It is music. That makes it better than a leaf blower. But does it have to be that loud?
What about the people who say it's too loud? This is
Forget those people. Who are those people? Those people are old people.
Well, they have rights too, right?
Keep them at home. Really? I mean, I'm not trying to badmouth them, but come on, we're not out here to hurt anybody. All we have to do is have some fun, you know what I'm trying to say? And without music, what is the world?
That's it.
You know?
Okay. Common sense alert to all you people out there that want to have some fun. Common sense alert.
Their premium version really takes things to the next level with in-depth feedback on things like vocabulary, conciseness.
Common sense alert. We get that y'all want to have fun out there blasting your music and revving your motorcycle engines. Vroom, 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 vroom. But people are trying to sleep. They have jobs. They don't want to hear it. They're tired of it, and it's disturbing the peace. Now we just heard from Florida and Chicago they have noise pollution laws. But what about Texas? What about here in Texas? Do they have noise pollution laws? The only Texas state law covering noise is disorderly conduct. It protects against unreasonable noise exceeding 85 decibels following being warned by a magistrate or peace officer. The Texas noise curfew briefly states that a person may not be making unreasonable noise between the hours of 10:30 p.m. and 7 a.m. or create a sound or vibration more than 30 feet from a vehicle. That's the law. So I get y'all want to have some fun, play some music, track some girls, whatever. But people are trying to sleep. They have work in the morning, they got jobs, they have to pay the bills, whatever, and they lose sleep. So remember this. We get that y'all want to have fun, but we need to sleep. We need our peace and quiet. We don't want to hear it. Put on some earphones. Put those mufflers back in your motorcycles. We don't want to hear it. If we got playing some rain on our phones to make us sleep, okay. But we don't want to hear it. You may sit there and say, well, walk away. Okay, then we'll have the police bust your ass for freaking blasting their music. That's disorderly conduct. And you will go to jail. You will be going to jail for that. We'll be right back. If y'all have had it with work, this last story is for you. We've all seen those videos about employees flipping out. You'll see these videos from Elizabeth Vargas. Here's Elizabeth Vargas.
What's new in the world of 9 to 5 will make you want to call 911. YouTube makes it look like the American workforce is on the edge of a nervous breakdown. Workers of the world rising up against infuriating workplace oppression, the tyranny of bulky computers, paperless printers, and annoying co-workers.
I think there's a lot of rage.
Now, many of these videos are fake. Some are clever viral marketing campaigns. This is really an ad for office chairs. But all these online videos tap into something real, something buried deep in the psyche of the modern worker. Let's call it cubicle rage. Organizational psychologist Ben Datner says white collar, blue collar, everyone's hot under the collar. What is it all about?
The rewards of economic gains have gone, as we all know, to fewer rather than more people in society in general. And when people perceive inequity, they're likely to feel angry and they're likely to want to take retributive steps.
He means revenge. And you've been on the receiving end of that if you've ever walked into the middle of an office worker's bad day. And it can be even worse for those who have to deal with the public, especially in the pressure cooker of fast food. This fried chicken restaurant worker is a hit online. But the most appalling example comes from Iowa. A pizza delivery turns ugly when the customer fails to tip the driver. He comes back and turns her front door into a urinal.
These are people who have to say, "Have a nice day," every single time they deal with one of us.
I mean, a lot of people in those customer-facing roles have to be actors and actresses, and that can be very onerous, burdensome, and problematic for certain people who, when pushed to a certain point, can really break.
How was your day? Dave Heiner worked in a well-known video game chain store in New York. A coworker captured his state of mind the day after Christmas 2009.
You know, my anger frustration was building through the day. I was trying to be very polite to the people as they came and went. And pretty much as soon as we locked the door, the switch went off and I just lost it.
Heiner says he was joking, sort of, but he says he truly had it with the customers and his manager.
I bottled it up all day, and finally my glass jar just shattered, and out it came. You know, and I don't regret it for a second.
Heiner says that on-camera meltdown was nothing compared to what came soon after, when the boss wanted to write him up for slow sales.
I said, I'm not signing this, and I've had enough of your company, and if you, at the end of the day, are gonna fire me, I'm just gonna quit and save myself the trouble. And I just built up with anger, and I was just ripped straight open. I pretty much just ripped my shirt in half. I was like, I'm done with your company. I ripped it straight down the middle, just boom. Then I said, this is what I think of you guys. Took it off. I said, you can take a job, shove it, threw it in his face, walked right out the door.
And when it comes to some delivery men who are supposed to bring things to your door, everything is airmail. A delivery worker venting on YouTube that stress can lead to this kind of destruction.
Eventually, I had to become that person. I had to become the person to just completely destroy stuff.
Destruction and drama. It happens as easily in the boardroom as it does in the break room. Take it from one of the stars of the business reality show Shark Tank, billionaire Mark Cuban.
I had a partner who was the exact opposite of me, which worked well 99% of the time. But there were times when we'd have closed the door behind us sometimes and just have knockdown, drag-out, screaming matches because we disagreed about how to do business.
But why is it that grown adults can act like children in the office?
A workplace is a powerful social situation, so we come to react to each other as if we were pseudo-siblings, as if our boss was a pseudo-parent. The workplace can be a big happy family, or the workplace can be a big dysfunctional family.
When your office is a classroom, it's inevitable that your colleagues are going to act like children, but sometimes it is the grown-up in the room with issues. Modesto High, California. The class, Algebra 2. The problem, anger management. And the bad behavior behavior isn't limited to all these videos on YouTube. According to one survey, 42% of people are exposed to yelling and verbal abuse on the job. 29% admit abusing their coworkers, and 10% say they've actually been exposed to physical violence.
Look like somebody can slice your face up.
Anger on the job can sneak up on you. One day, whammo. Like getting hit by a bus, or in this case, getting hit on the bus. This video cost a Cleveland bus driver his job. You'll see why.
You wanna be a man? I wanna treat you like a man.
The woman is okay, but that driver, he is so fired. But what will go down in history as the most classic I quit belongs to Stephen Slater. Last time we spoke, you had just pulled the emergency chute, grabbed a few beers, and dropped the F-bomb on the intercom. Fed up after 20 years as a flight attendant,
I just kind of went with it.
parachuting into instant fame when he said, basically, take this job and shove it. This was a dramatic exit.
You know, who hasn't been overworked and underpaid, who hasn't been outsourced, who isn't stressed. It was very resonant of where we are as a culture and a country in that moment, and still are.
If you want to keep an eye on whether things are likely to improve, all you have to do is watch the unemployment rate. With the economy in the state that it's in, and jobs as scarce as they are, that's got to increase stress.
Absolutely.
As well as bad behavior.
When they feel economically dependent on their job, they're likely to be more rigid, more political, more regressed, more emotional.
If you had more people saying, hey, I think you're doing a swell job, I think you're doing a great job, you wouldn't have these people freaking out like me.
The former game store clerk, Dave Heiner, says those workplace tantrums are nothing less than a desperate cry for dignity. An angry anthem for the underpaid, underappreciated worker. And he says more people should try it.
I say just let it out. Tell them how you truly feel.
Common sense alert, and we're gonna wrap it up. Employees acting like kids? Are you freaking insane? I mean, the reason why unemployment is going up is because all these videos on YouTube are people flipping out, breaking desks, destroying phones. I hate this chair. I hate my computer. You stole my money. You hate me. I hate you. He'd be like sleeping naked while getting your ass kicked. Oh, you're sleeping naked, huh? That's all for this Just to Give Me a Break Saturday going this Sunday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Sunday because we got Memorial Day. I was going to say that the bottom line here is this. Act like adults. Don't act like kids. It ain't funny. It's the fact. I'm the best employee ever. I get treated like an adult, and I'm not being treated like a child. That's the bottom line. That's Give Me a Break for Saturday going to Sunday. We'll see you again tomorrow for Give Me a Break Sunday. We're also going to be off Memorial Day. So we're going to be on Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. For everyone here to YouTube, good night, everyone. And concentration, not strength.